Finn Balor at TakeOver last Sunday, TakeOver 31, he retained his NXT Championship over Kyle O'Reilly. Excellent main event. It came, though, at a cost. It came at the cost of a broken jaw. Broken in two places. It came on a knee lift in the corner by O'Reilly that connected a little too well. Balor immediately began bleeding from the mouth. He apparently called an audible for the match to end a few minutes early. It did feel like they went right to the finish after that. When he hit the coup de grace, I thought O'Reilly was kicking out. And when he didn't, I thought, okay, maybe they did rush the finish. Maybe he is really hurt. They did not strip, at least not yet. They have not stripped Balor of the championship. They have not vacated the championship. I mean, back-to-back vacancies would have been crazy. Although I'm sure Vacant is licking his lips right now. He's just waiting in the wings. But it looks like they're going to keep the title on Balor while he heals up. No timetable was given for his return. The typical recovery in fishing around for a broken jaw is said to be around 6 weeks. I don't know if that differs when you broke your jaw in more than one place, as Balor did. The x-ray looked pretty gnarly. But if he's going to be gone, let's say 6 weeks, then they have time. The next TakeOver show is not until December 6th. So they could keep him out of the ring, name a number one contender, start building to that match, but actually keep him out of anything physical until the next TakeOver, and by then, hopefully, he'll be all healed up. And then there is poor Ridge Holland, who absolutely, positively will not be back in time for the next TakeOver. In fact, we have seen the last of Ridge Holland here in 2020. This is a man that I've been impressed by. So has WWE, which is why he was in the final scene of TakeOver last Sunday. He had Adam Cole's dead body hoisted over his shoulder, dumped him on the floor. Someone apparently paid off Ridge Holland, like a hitman, to take out Adam Cole. Hence why when Holland showed up on NXT this week, the interview person caught him outside the building. He arrived driving a Mercedes. And he said, last week I didn't have a Mercedes, and this week I do. And basically the implication was somebody paid him off. It's a whodunit. Who paid off this man to attack Adam Cole? Maybe it was Pat McAfee. Maybe McAfee's not done yet with Adam Cole. Unfortunately, this storyline took a very bad turn later that night. Holland was in a match with Danny Burch that he won very quickly. Oney Lorcan came out after to chase off Holland. The two locked horns. Referees poured out to try to separate the two of them. And in this melee, this is what is so frustrating about something like this. If you watch this segment, there were 2 or 3 different points after they were pulled apart for the third time in the same segment that they could have ended the segment. Just separate them. The referees already pulled them apart 2 or 3 times. You could have ended the segment right there. But they kept it going. They kept having these two go after each other. They prolonged it. And then came the dive. Another fucking dive. Except it wasn't Ridge Holland doing the dive. He didn't do anything wrong. It was Oney Lorcan. And it was a very simple, basic dive. It wasn't even one of these running dives. You know, that's what... Some of these devastating injuries... We just got Xavier Woods back. We just got Ember Moon back. 2 people who suffered devastating Achilles injuries that kept them out for almost a year or a year. And in the case of Ember, she was running. She was running to the back, chasing after R-Truth. In the case of Xavier Woods, it happened early in a match. I think it might have been a leapfrog. It was like a very... Maybe not even a leapfrog. He might have just been running the ropes. It was something very, very basic. Same thing when Edge, ruptured his Achilles all those years ago. It was on a leapfrog in the corner 2 minutes into a match with Jeff Hardy. It's not like these guys were doing these overly dangerous maneuvers. So when you do these dives and these dangerous maneuvers, it only amplifies the risk by that much. But even in terms of dives, this was a very basic dive. This was not, anything that, saw him do some kind of corkscrew plancha, he's running 50 miles an hour, running the ropes. No. It was nothing like that. All Ridge did was stand there to catch him. Oney propelled himself. He grabbed the top rope and he propelled himself out over the top rope, and Ridge was to, I assume, catch him in midair, but his leg buckled. and it snapped. And it took all of, I'd say, maybe 3 seconds, maybe not even, 2 seconds. The blood-curdling screams of Ridge Holland. The referees that were standing right there, they very quickly realized, this is not part of the story, this is not part of the work, he's hurt. And you had Drake Unger, I think it was Drake, who was standing right there. He dove at Oney, because Oney got right back, he was on top of Holland, he was pounding away, and Drake just tackled him to get him off. And then he threw up the X, the dreaded X sign. And it was pretty apparent right away that this guy was legitimately hurt. Now, to me, when they showed the replay, you could clearly see his ankle bent the wrong way. So I figured, okay, this is easily a broken ankle. But it turned out to be so much worse. Not only did he break his left ankle, he dislocated the ankle, which they tried to pop back into place backstage, but they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it until they got to the ER. I don't even want to know the kind of pain that this guy must have been in when they tried to pop the ankle back into place and they couldn't. I can't say that I've ever had an injury like this before, and I hope I never do. But when it comes to popping things back in, and my memory's a little fuzzy because I was so young, but I was probably, 6 or 7 years old, maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I had my arm pulled out of the socket. And I had to have the doctor pop it back in. And I can vaguely remember being in a lot of pain. And as soon as he popped it back in, the pain it was gone. The pain went away. I can't imagine an injury like this, though. When they're trying to pop it back in and they can't. It's we're trying here and it's just not working. Oh, I don't even want to think about that. I hope they gave him a towel or something to bite down on. Because this guy was screaming bloody murder when he first went down, and you can understand why. So, broken ankle, as well as a dislocated and ruptured right patellar tendon. So he ruptured his patellar tendon, so it was the knee and the ankle. That makes it just twice as bad. He had surgery the next morning. Who the hell knows when he's going to be back? That sounds like a long layoff. I'm not saying it's going to be like a year or anything like that. I've read that, either injury on its own could be 6 to 8 weeks. It could be 6 months. Who knows? He's going to be out for a long time. And there's never a good time to get hurt with an injury like that. But this was the absolute worst possible time for something like this to happen, because here this guy was on the verge of the biggest push of his career. Now, I think he's a relatively young guy, and hopefully he can come back from this, and he'll have plenty of other opportunities, I would hope. But again, the timing just makes this so much worse. And where they're going to take this story now, I don't know. They already started it, and they were kind of teasing that this guy was paid off. So they could still continue the storyline. I don't know where the destination is going to go, if it is McAfee or somebody else. Somebody put him up to doing what he did. Now we'll have to figure out who that person is. Or they could just abandon the whole thing. If they want to do that, they could do that too. They could just say, you know what, we had a story with Ridge. Ridge is out. We're just going to drop the whole thing and go in a different direction. Now, you know my thoughts on this. The dive stuff. You know my thoughts on this without me even saying a word. In the last 2 months, we have had injuries to Dexter Lumis, Ivar of the Viking Raiders, and now Ridge Holland, all coming as a result of dives out of the ring. In the case of Ridge, he wasn't the one actually doing the diving. But it doesn't matter, it was still a dive spot, and it didn't need to happen. It added nothing to the segment. Nothing. As these dives usually do. They add nothing. And why do they add nothing? Because they've been so overdone. How could they possibly mean anything anymore? They have no meaning. There is no longer any logical reason to keep doing them. Please, I beg of you again before somebody else gets hurt. Enough with the fucking dives.